Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time on Channels Television. The Director General for the Center for Management Development, the CMD, Dr. Kabir Usman, is here with us. Now, before we went on the break, I asked you about the issue of regulation, vis-a-vis the Management Development Institutes. Now, what's your reaction about, when they say that they get the best deal, from overseas, and there's no need for them to be regulated again?
You are correct, to ask that question. But the situation may not be as it looks, because if somebody went and trained, abroad, it doesn't necessarily mean it's better than the person who is local. That is one. And secondly, I spent 25 years of my life, a quarter of a century of my life in the UK. I advised so many ministers of education in the UK. I was an assistant principal of a college of 60,000, students, the largest in Europe. And likewise, I was an advisor to the British Council. And likewise, I was advisor to Minister of Education, Dr. Of course, Aja Nwachukwu. And I was the Chief of Staff, was the Minister of National Planning. So the pedigree and the rudimentary competencies and capacity and capability is all in there. What is actually important is the level of commitment and the level of resources. And that is why when you talk, about our budgetary allocation, I say we need more resources so that we can deliver at international standard, at international best practice. But having, the custody, of the mandate to regulate, we are the agency that have the custody to regulate. And so certainly I agree with you. We have to lead by example. And that is why we are raising, the quality of our resources, so that they can match international best practice. Certainly, you go to some certain agencies, you will see they got excellent resources and they got excellent facilitators. We are working very hard also, as a government agency to match that. And we have made a lot of progress. For the last 3 years since when I came, I have sent, some of my staff, about 67 of them, to go on overseas training. Some of them have gone to South Korea, some they have been to China, to the UK. I went to Harvard University, and also, some went to India, for one kind of training or the other, so that we can raise the capacity of the workforce. And likewise, before you can operate, a management development institute and provide training, you must be a qualified trainer. And when I came, I had to embark on a training program for 250 of our staff in CMD. So we have built, the capacity, and we had built the infrastructure, both the tangible and intangible one. But of course, because of the dilapidation, for a long period of time, and that's why we have the challenge, and we urge actually the government, to bail us out and give us more money, to enable us to operate at international standard.
So then, from what you said, how do we then manage, as the Director General, to procure some of these equipments that you talked about, so that going forward, the CMD can be able to, meet its set objectives and even targets, because you definitely need some of these equipments.
We were able to procure some of this, and we do it with a lot of integrity and prudence. We do it with a lot of integrity and prudence. Our books are open. You see the prices of our laptops. You see the prices of our basic items that we require, in the classroom, and you see the photocopiers, we buy. The generators, actually, we have. The ACs, we have. The E-tray, we have. And also we created, a gym, so that work-life balance, is also being encouraged. And the issue about attitudinal change and typical example, when you are working out now, just have a look, the cleanness, of the place. It's a lot. You will not even say that possibly this is a government, organization. And everywhere you go, you'll find a drinking water. We provide that, actually for staff and our participants. We also have a clinic, for our participants. So quite a lot of things, good things, are actually in place. But we need continuity and sustainability. And we need adequate funding, to enable us, to achieve that. And that's essentially what we are trying to say. If we want to be, at the top and international standard, then obviously we have to have more allocation of resources to allow us to achieve that.
Now, in its 40 years of existence, what can you say has really been the major achievement of the CMD? And as the Director General, what do you intend, to serve as your own main achievements?
Well, the significant achievement is the value reorientation and change of attitude of staff. And when I say that, I mean that if you look at human beings, we have three types of desire. There is one desire about needs, there is one desire about wants, and there is another desire about greed. And we are able to inculcate, in our training programs that, we have to change our attitude. Value reorientation, we have to think about the interests of the country before our own personal interest. And we raise, the capacity of our workforce. And they respect that, and they respond to that. And that's tremendous achievement, because the most difficult aspect in human being is change of attitude. And we worked actually on that. Infrastructure is another one. In those days when I came, significant part of the places where we are doing capacity building, they are rented. They are now owned by us. Either they are donated by us, for us, or we actually, buy them. And we work together with the Office of Head of Service of the Federation. And we trained over the 3.5 years, over 6,000, civil servants. We supported them, we evaluated the program, we monitored the program, and we conducted impact assessment. And we worked and provided capacity building for about 26, states across the country, whereby we conducted an impact assessment, 360 degrees. Whoever came to our training, we could see whether there was any significant impact on them. We asked their juniors, we asked their seniors, and what we have got is really positive, that we are doing the right things and we are going in the right direction. So this is a significant milestone, and accreditation of training institutions now. It has not been the case before. We have not been doing it for very long, but now over 300 have been accredited. Over 1,100, management development, consultants have been accredited. About 20 different management development institutes have been inspected, actually by us. We provided capacity building to all aspects, actually of government, where we can make a contribution in a particular sector as our own contribution towards the President's transformation agenda.
Now, one last question before we round off quickly now, Dr. Usman, and that has to do with the issue of corruption. Now, of course, we don't need to start talking about, how, adversely it has affected, our national life, eaten deep into our fabric, all that we already know. But I just want to bring it down, to the center now, the CMD. How have you been able to, block some of the leakages, within your administration that may bring about fraud within the CMD, knowing fully well that corruption is indeed a big problem everywhere?
Well, I think this is very important because somebody said the only reason why we study history is because we don't learn from history. And in those contexts, one among the most corrupt countries in the world, it used to be Hong Kong. And now it's one of the most sanitized. And it is as a result of initiatives like that of ICPC. And this is why when I first came, my first place of call and where I worked first in open program and a closed program was in ICPC. Because I know that there is an issue of corruption and we know the issue is endemic. Then if you don't tackle it, you know what happens. Issues about insecurity and issues about poverty and issues about unemployment. So therefore it is mandatory, for all of our staff, to inculcate this element, of awareness raising and tackling it. And we say, how are we going to do it? Education. Education, education. Making people aware about the negatives actually of it. There are more disadvantages than advantages, at the end. And wherever this thing happened, the ones who are the benefactors are not the majority, they are actually the minority. So therefore, we have to inculcate the concept of we, rather than the concept of I. We have to inculcate the concept of us, rather than the concept of me. And together, if we work, in this, it is going to help. I attend quite a lot of program activities that are organized by, ICPC, and prevention is better than cure. It's now going to be an integral part of the curriculum. I have just produced a program, to tackle these issues, which I have given to the ICPC, Lagos, which I have sent to ICPC Lagos branch. We have formulated, 10 training programs, which we felt is going to support EFCC. And we did the same, for ICPC, so that we can tackle, this issue of, corruption, which nobody wants in our society.
Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this week's edition of the program, but we do certainly hope that you will continue to do all the good work even as you continue as the Director General of the Center for Management Development. Dr. Kabir Usman, we thank you so much for spending time with us on Question Time.
Pleased to meet you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
The Center for Management Development seems poised to continue in its quest to ensure that all management development institutions in the country do what is right in their operations and contribute their own quota to the development of all sectors of Nigeria's economy, and that's by building human capacity by way of regulation. Of course, there are challenges the center has to deal with on a day-to-day basis, but it is hoped that sooner or later these will be resolved under the administration of Dr. Kabir Usman. Nigerians will certainly be watching. Well, that's it for this week. Please remember to send us your questions, comments and suggestions to questiontime@channelstv.com, or you can also watch us online also at channelstv.com. Till next week, I'm Ayatunde Balogun saying bye for now.